So welcome. My name's Natalie Havens. I'm a school counselor at Spanish River. I do 9th grade L to Z. And we have a couple counselors on here who I'll say hi real quick. We've got Mrs. Lisa Solid. She does 10 through 12, A to D. And we have Miss Melissa Loyacona. She's our lead counselor, and she does 10 through 12, E to K. We have Gabby Bustamante. She's 9th grade, A to K. We've got our newest college and career coach, Mrs. Susie Riggle, and Mrs. Kim Garney. She does 10 through 12, R to Z. And even Corey Adelstein is on here. She's our academy coordinator. So we're going to go ahead and get started. We have our coffee talk today on GPA information. And then at the end, we'll record that. At the end, I'll turn the recording off and we'll take any questions that parents may have. So we'll go ahead and get started. I'll start it off with Mrs. Loyacona. Does that work out? Okay. I'll start off. Go ahead and take it away.
Good morning, everyone. Today we're going to talk about GPA and how grade point averages work. I know it's getting down to the end of the quarter, so students are always like, what's my GPA? However, GPA does not change at all until each semester. So GPA is calculated at the semester, not at quarters. So it's one of the most important factors considered. There's two types of GPAs. There's the GPA and then the weighted GPA, which is also known as the HPA, the honors point average. So weighted GPA and HPA, we use those terms interchangeably, but the HPA is weighted, which means that if you're in any honors classes or AP classes or even dual enrollment classes, they're weighted more in your GPA, okay? So for example, an A in a regular class is 4 points, but in an honors class, it's worth 4.5, and in an AP or ACE or dual enrollment class, it's worth 6 points. So they are all based on how the students did in each of those courses. Here's the scale that I was just referring to. When looking at universities, they will look at the HPA, which is the honors grade point average. So again, where you can get a A in a regular class of a 4.0, the honors is a 4.5, and the AP or ACE is 6 points. So that's why you see when students graduate with such high HPAs, it's because they were in all these AP or ACE courses. So some math, what they would do is they would count. So an A is worth, if you're looking at regular GPA, you can just look at, it's easier to view this way. Then an A is worth 4 points, a B is 3, a C is 2, a D is 1, and then they get no points for an F. And remember, this will be semester grades. Quarter grades will not give you a GPA for your transcript. So for example, if a student received an A, a B, C, C, D, 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 you add those points together, which is 14, divide by 7, and that's a 2.0. That's the minimum needed for students to actually graduate from high school, is that 2.0. So if they really want to go to a university right after high school, then they need at least a 3.0, which is a B average. So for example, if a student finished freshman year with a 2.0, in order to have that 3.0, they're going to have all A's as a sophomore, okay? Where a student finished sophomore year with a 2.0, they need to receive all A's for the junior year. So it's a lot easier to maintain a GPA than it is to raise a GPA. So that's why we always tell our freshmen, work on your GPA now to have a good basis, because it's going to be a lot easier later on to maintain that GPA than it is to raise a poor GPA.
Awesome. Yes. Thank you. We're going to have Ms. Riggle continue taking it up here. Thank you, Mrs. Loyacona.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. So I'm going to explain to you a little bit of how we calculate those semester grades. So you can see this is an example for non-EOC courses. So the majority of the courses are non-EOC courses, meaning there's not that end of course exam. I'll get into, after this, I'll explain what an EOC course is and how those grades are different. But for the majority of the courses students take, they will receive a semester 1 grade and a semester 2 grade on their transcript. The semester grades are calculated by adding up the quarter grades and the exam grade. So quarter 1, for example, is worth 40% of that semester grade. quarter 2 is worth another 40%, and then their midterm exam is worth 20%. Semester 2 would be the same. Quarter 3 would be 40% of their grade, quarter 4 another 40, and then their final exam would be 20% of their grade. Semester grades are the only thing that will appear on the transcript, and they're the only thing that's averaged into the GPA, meaning when they're applying to colleges won't see what they earned each quarter, or they won't see what they earned on those exams. They'll just see what they earned as their overall semester grade. This is kind of a good cheat sheet for you to show the breakdown of how we determine those semester grades. It also can show you how students can turn around their grades. So for example, the first line shows you that if in the first quarter or the first 9 weeks, a student earned an A, second quarter, they earned another A, then on their exam, their semester exam, they would have to earn an A, B, or C to maintain that A for the semester. But you can also see how a student can turn things around. So maybe another example would be if they got an A first quarter, something happened second quarter and their grade dropped and they got a D. If they can get an A or a B on that semester exam, then they can end up with a B for their semester average. So that shows that, you know, the colleges won't see that D. These students still have a chance to make it up and bring up their grade for the semester. So as I mentioned before, we have non-EOC courses and then EOC courses. I just explained how we would calculate the grades for those non-EOC courses, with each quarter being 40% and the exam being 20% of the grade. And they will receive those semester 1 grade and a semester 2 grade. For EOC courses, meaning there is an end of course exam, students will only receive 1 grade. They'll receive 1 final year-long grade, so 1 whole credit. These classes would be Algebra 1, Geometry, Biology, or U.S. History. And you can see the breakdown of each grade is a little different. So each quarter would be worth 15.4%. The midterm exam coming up at the end of this semester in December would be 8.4%. And then that final end of course exam, or the EOC, that they'll take at the end of the year is worth 30% of their overall grade. So again, this shows more of their grades are worth 70% for those courses. The EOC, or end of course exam, is worth 30% of their overall grade. And again, those courses are Algebra 1, Geometry, Biology, and U.S. History. So again, to graduate, students need a 2.0 GPA at least. That's a C average or better. Again, if they're thinking of going on to college, they would need at least a 3.0 or a B average. But let's say, you know, if a student did earn a D or an F, they do have the opportunity to make up those grades and get grade forgiveness. They can, let's say they had a D first semester of English 1. They have the opportunity to make up that grade through grade forgiveness or credit recovery. They have a couple options, being credit lab, they could do here at school, or they could do Florida virtual school at home. And that could be anytime throughout the year or over the summer. Once they retake that class, let's say originally they had a D, they retake it and they got a B. Both of those grades will go on the transcript. Colleges will see both grades. However, only the B would be calculated into their GPA. The D would be taken out of the GPA. So this is a review of the graduation requirements. So everything that students need to graduate from high school, they need 24 credits. One of those credits would be a virtual or online class. They have to pass the FSA reading with a level 3 or higher, and the Algebra 1 EOC with level 3 or higher. And again, they need an overall 2.0 GPA or higher for all of their courses. They do need a few specific elective courses, one being a physical education or PE class. They can do either team sports, a semester of team sports and a semester of personal fitness, or they could do the full year of hope on Florida virtual school. That's health opportunities through physical education. Or there are a few ways that they can get a waiver for that PE credit. One being if they participate in 2 years of a JV or varsity sport. And the other being if they are in marching band, they can receive a waiver for half a credit of PE or that team sports credit. They would still need to take personal fitness, though, to complete the PE credit. They also need 1 credit of a practical or performing art credit to graduate, and then 20 hours of community service. And we ask students to turn that in by December 1st of their junior year. There are a few exceptions to this, one being the ACE diploma. Just keep in mind, if students are getting that ACE diploma, they are exempt from the online PE and art credit requirements. We do offer a lot of tutoring opportunities here on campus. So if your students are struggling in any subjects, we do have places they can go to get extra help. One being National Honor Society tutoring, which will be coming soon daily during both lunches, and that can be for any subject. We also have teachers that tutor for math and physics. Miss Magulik in her room during first lunch offers tutoring, and then during second lunch would be with Miss Sullivan.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you, Mrs. Loyakona and Mrs. Riggle, for presenting that. We will have a short survey that we're going to email all parents. So if you can fill that out when you receive it, we'd appreciate it. And our next coffee talk is going to be November 4th. But at this time, I'm going to stop the recording. And if you have any questions,